so which we were discussing when it comes to the urges of genitals. And so, what was the point which last I was talking about? I just forgot that point actually from where we left. What was the point which you all heard?
Said
Can anybody?
as we keep pleasing Lord Chaitanya, Guru, and we become advanced in our sadhana, and we
Yeah,
can the desire.
yeah. So, so this is this is the crux of it. Okay? That genitals, this desire to enjoy the opposite sex it is not something which happens just suddenly, It's a very, it takes a long time. Therefore, I told there are two things. One is the management of this desire, and the second thing is the removal of that desire completely. We sometimes have periods where we are feeling very blissful and very pure, no such desire coming in. Uh, so, but we should not think, oh wow, I've overcome this. I have defeated the sex desire for last 3.5, 4 weeks, not getting any such desire, or probably after last 6 months or whatever it is. But but it is not so easy. It is not so easy at all. Okay, is just like when there is a rainy season. The example is given that some of the insects they lay eggs, okay, and in the wood, okay, and as such, if you see in summers, you don't see those insects once again, but they have laid their eggs and gone, or probably died. But once the rainy season comes, again those eggs will lay. It's not easy to give up lust. It is not easy to give up this desire to satisfy the sex desire. Um, so it is something which takes time, but we can manage it. We can definitely manage it. Okay. How we can manage it? Actually, that's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in his purport, is that of uh, in a proper marriage, okay, when one uses the genitals to beget a Krishna conscious child, a Garbhadan Samskar, it is being called. It is called Garbhadan Samskar. Uh, For the renunciates, the vow of renunciation is a very strong help to manage this desire. And for the grihastha, it is the vow of begetting children using Garbhadan Samskar. Okay, that helps it. Garbhadan Sanskar is like, looks like, no, you're doing the same, sexual activity only. How can it help manage it? But the example which is given in scriptures is like this, that you take, let's say you being pricked by a thorn. Okay, you're being pricked by a thorn, and what you try to do is you take another thorn and take out the thorn which is there in the feet. Okay. Similarly, Garbhadan Samskar is like that thorn. Okay. Uh, it it puts us in mode of goodness. It puts us in the higher modes, which helps a lot. Which helps a lot. Okay. Oh, what if I already have kids? I already we have done whatever we had done in terms of having kids. Now what to do? Okay. Then bring up your kids in Krishna consciousness. Okay. That is also one way. Okay. Because that is another way. It is not just Garbhadan, but subsequently our endeavor to bring up our kids in Krishna consciousness. That also helps. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning in his complete commentary on overcoming the urges of genitals. Okay, that using genitals to procreate Krishna conscious children and bring them up, bring them up in Krishna consciousness. That also is very, very helpful. I'll tell you one more thing. more thing in my practical experience in Grahastha life is that no, uh, uh, it's a usual way of expressing love between husband and wife sometimes. But there are many other ways of expressing love also between husband and wife, uh, like taking care of each other, emotionally supporting, husband supports me emotionally. It's a way of showing love to our partner instead of just doing this activity. Okay. Uh, so typically, wife feels the satisfaction of that activity that really manages situation a lot. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. And so that really helps. That really helps. Okay. Um, Somehow I'm not able to view everyone. Don't know why. Oh yes, now I can. Sorry, it was I think my placement of the. So this is sometimes it is we have to understand this desire is basically born of just enjoying uh, of, and to get pleasure. But there is we have to understand there is greater pleasure in supporting our partner in Krishna consciousness. There is a greater pleasure in that. Okay. Um, so you can try to please each other in some different ways than actually getting into this sexual activity. Of course, uh, once somebody told that no, it is better to if you can't take prasadam, at least don't take non-vegetarian. Okay, take at least vegetarian. What does that mean? It means that no, it
Prabhuji,
it
Hare
is
Krishna.
sometimes um,
Atmaram Prabhu, Hare
yeah,
Krishna. Sorry to interrupt you, Prabhu. Prabhu, looks like your voice is not
right.
clear, Prabhu.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
receiving feedback that your voice is not clear today. Sorry for disturbing you, Prabhu.
Okay, okay. No, 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 no. You should. Is it
Seems to
better
be like
now?
internet issue, Prabhuji. It's a little breaking.
Yeah,
It's
is it
there is
better
a break
now?
in the voice.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Yes, Prabhuji.
I think slightly better. Prabhujis and Matajis, if anybody is not able to hear Prabhuji, please let him know.
Is it better?
Yeah, manageable Prabhuji. It's okay. Maybe you have to come a little closer, Prabhuji. Maybe a Bluetooth is a problem. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so I don't know whether you heard what I told or you missed whatever I told. I don't know. But uh, let me do a quick repetition of this. That it's basically, husband and wife in basically, they should find ways of pleasing each other apart from this way, by serving each other's needs emotionally and all, and helping other partner in Krishna consciousness. So the point which I was mentioning is that no, that once like no, somebody told that no, uh, you know, uh, it's like this that no, if you can't take prasadam always, then at least don't take non-vegetarian food. Take at least vegetarian, which means that definitely the highest and the best standard is what as we are understanding, of actually using it for the purpose of procreation, and that gives a kind of bliss, that gives a kind of empowerment to the devotee, or to become, uh, you know, uh, in different ways. It helps devotees definitely, uh, but not that no, we go outside the marriage. That's called non-vegetarian. Illicit, absolute illicit. Okay, one of the partner is seeking it, the other partner is not interested, and then sometime it is okay, but then If it becomes too much for the other partner, then there is a risk. So definitely, uh, sometimes the male may feel the need, sometimes the female may feel the need, sometimes both of them may feel the need. Okay, so one should tolerate. One should tolerate the urges properly. Just a second. One should tolerate the urges from that perspective. So, if one is not married and one is yet to start one's Grahastha life, one should understand the importance of Garbhadan Samskar. If one is about to actually get kids and all, one should study. Samskaras are very, very powerful, very, very powerful, very, very powerful. So, there are many samskaras. Primarily, there are 10 principal samskaras. Well, that's a topic in itself, so I can't delve into it right now. Okay. Uh, but Garbhadan Sanskar is very, very powerful. And it's very simple Garbhadan Sanskar, chanting 50 rounds and you are associating with your partner to beget a Krishna conscious child. That acts like a thorn which picks out this thorn. Okay. Then the other point which I told was that between husband and wife, don't think by neglecting your partner you will be able to overcome this desire. Don't think even that. Don't even think and try doing that. It is only by having very good relation actually you can overcome this. Okay. Generally we think that no, if we are having good relation, which means no, and if we are just not looking at each other, you know, oh, I don't want to engage in this sexual activity only for begetting kids and all. It will not work actually. It's not going to work. Okay. Rather, building relationship on the platform of service to each other by fulfilling each other person's needs. That is there. And then naturally, as devotees, we are engaged in Krishna consciousness. So when the husband and wife they together do devotional service, they together do some services, they together share realizations with each other. That also spiritualizes their relationship a lot, and it helps them overcome, uh, you know, this desire. Okay. Needless to say, one cannot go outside marriage. So one has to, we'll be discussing that in Jana Sangha, any which ways. Okay. So that's the point, I think, is what's being mentioned by Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Anuvritti explanation, where they're just saying that no, that just be very, I mean, you can say I love you to your wife, but you can't keep having uh, going back to your friends, going back to your, you know, the so between husband and wife, Bhakti Thakur says it is beneficial to talk and touch and all those things, okay, but one should not be, one should cut the weed as soon as one is getting into, those thoughts of associating with women out with a woman out beyond one's wife, so that has to be done. One has to be careful and by Krishna's grace, very soon, um, uh, when devotees they engage in devotional service and sincerely try to overcome this desire and not just use one's genitals just carelessly, callously, and just thinking like, oh, I have a license to do uh, sex life unlimitedly in married life. No, if one appreciates this principle and tries oneself and engages in devotional service, then very slowly, like no, he'll be able to give it up. Once one devotee came and asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, no illicit sex, so difficult. How will I get strength? Prabhupada told that's not your business. No, strength is not your business. Your business is to follow. Strength Krishna will give. Okay, so so that's the point. That's the point. And when we do that successfully, we experience the bliss of you know of some transcendental bliss. Oh, yeah, I'm beyond. At least one goal I scored against Maya. I'm feeling happy. There's a greater pleasure in not engaging in it than engaging in it unnecessarily. Necessarily, in terms of begetting kids, definitely we should. Uh, Krishna says that sex life I am personally. He doesn't say that sex life is my energy or that sex life is this or that. No, he says personally I am that sex life, which is in accordance with the religious principle. So all one's, in fact, unnecessary mode of passion and ignorance, desires for going here and there can get rectified if one engages in Garbhadan Samskar with the legally, religiously wedded wife and husband. Okay. So that's about genitals, and I think with this, no, Prabhupada also closes his purport. He started with that concept of, of atonement. Real atonement is cultivating pure devotion service, and he closes this very big purport by again mentioning that one should try to become uh, Goswami, and he gives reference of Prahlad Maharaj, verse which is like 7.5.30, where he says that no, uh, he says that if one is not Krishna conscious, one will be dragged, one will be like pulled, one will be like harassed by these sensual desires, and it will be very difficult for that person to reach the goal of Krishna consciousness. So one should not see this control of senses instruction as separate from advancement and devotional service. It's very much integral part of the same. Okay. So with this, we have finished text one. Okay. With all the hiccups we had, I think we are good on time. Okay. Any questions on this? Uh, it's a um, even if the couple somehow engages uh, in the sexual activity, uh, okay, after trying very much this to follow this standard, where both the husband and wife they are doing it, they should they should continue performing devotional service. It's not that they need to what will happen now. Just one should continue. Devotional service is so strong, it can completely insulate us from the pull and push of uh, is this harassing desire. It can completely. Um, okay. One thing is we should not criticize Vaishnavas. Uh, If we actually simply perform devotional service and avoid criticizing devotees, one can very easily become pleasing to devotees. And that's very easy way to please Krishna. And that's very easy way. I mean, that's the only way to actually, overcome this sexual desire. So, no criticism of Vaishnavas. Okay, and we remember that tongue, belly, and genitals are in the same line. So one observes a regulated routine for the body, then obviously this gets controlled. So these are some 5-6 points to sum up in genitals is that uh, management of this sex desire and uprooting of this sex desire. Garbhadan Samskar for Krishna conscious householders. Not just Garbhadan, but even bringing up one's kids in Krishna consciousness is also there. Then pleasing or having relationship between husband and wife or uh, pleasing each other not just by engaging in sex life, but actually but by helping each other, by serving each other, by protecting each other, by finding some other ways of pleasing each other, you know, all these things will strengthen the relationship, and we'll find that no, our relationship has much more meaning via that way rather than just grossly relating to each other by this the sex desire. And then we discussed about the the point on the Garbhadan Sanskar 50 rounds, and I think that's it. Okay. One should just try to control the genitals and continue performing devotion service. Um, Depending on Krishna, then Krishna will give sufficient strength. Uh, Different devotees try different ways, so we can't, of course, tell all the ways over here in terms of details. But these are the principles which I wanted to discuss. Okay. If there are questions, we can take. Otherwise, we move to text two.
Another Prabhuji, quick question.
Yes.
When you said the 6 argues, right? When we control only mind alone, can't we control rest of them? Why you are calling specifically this mind and intelligence we control?
Yeah. Yes, you are right, because mind is the master of senses, and why we are even talking about body and kaya mana vacha, and that man is there. But then a point is that we always don't relate at the platform of mind. Sometimes, Krishna says both ways. Krishna says you can control the mind by controlling the senses. Okay. And you can control the senses by controlling the mind. When Arjuna asked Krishna, "Oh Krishna, why it is so that even if somebody understands that this thing is bad, why still that person engages in the same thing? Why?" And Krishna says that the answer is lust. It's lust only, Arjuna. Then interestingly asked that, no, how to overcome? And Krishna says by regulating the senses. You get the point? So our consciousness sometimes is not always so amazing, that we can, at the level of mind, it gets slipped, it gets slipped. So very quickly from thinking, feeling, willing, it may actually start into gross actions. You may have observed that, right? It's not so easy. So therefore, regulating the senses. Therefore, it's all working in tandem, for us. Okay, because sometimes we are very good. We kill the thing at the thought level only. Sometimes we don't take the feeling very seriously. Sometimes we don't allow it to come to the point of willing, but sometimes it may so happen and it may start prompting us to do some things. Then what do you do? That's where you need to regulate senses. That is one point. Secondly, due to our conditionings are very strong. While we say we control our mind, but we have to understand that sitting places of lust is not just mind or intelligence, it is also the senses. Okay. So senses can keep pulling us. And actually, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that even if one of the senses is uncontrolled, it can, you have seen that point, right, where Krishna says that no, even the top even the like no the most fixed up yogi, his mind can be carried away by one sense which is loose. But Krishna says that point. Okay. So as a practitioner, we have to keep operating at these three levels: body, mind, and words. Kaya mana vacha, because that is going to keep us, protected from a wholesome perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah, clear.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Ram Reddy, Prabhu.
yeah,
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you're already. Prabhu, in general, like while you are chanting, when you are in satsang, or generally when you are in a class, yeah, those times are okay, Prabhu. Our mind is engaged in devotional service. Other times, how can you control the mind and all these senses, genitals, everything, Prabhu?
By following the instructions. Okay. There's something called Vapu, which means you have a favorable physical environment, gross physical environment. And there's something called Vani. Vani keeps going with us. Okay. So trying to live our life um in a Krishna conscious way by following the instructions of Sadhu Guru Shastra in all circumstances, training ourselves in doing that is also association. In fact, it's a more powerful way of associating because you are trying to follow someone who is not in, just like no your father. Okay, he's there in the house, you serve him, it is fine. But let's say he has gone for a tour for like half a month or 1 month in his absence, and before going he has told you certain things, and you do it thinking that my father is, then affection for the father grows even more than actually in his presence. Okay. That's the power of Ani. So our attachment with Prabhupada, oh, Prabhupada wants me to act in this way. Oh, it is natural. It is natural actually, to feel the urge to enjoy the opposite sex. But then we remember, oh, I have I've given vow to Srila Prabhupada. It's not good for me. Srila Prabhupada instructs us, let me not do it then. So that is called knowledge. That gives more attachment to Srila Prabhupada. And that attachment is so strong that all these things, like no, it just runs away. They run away yeah, effortlessly. When such kind of attachment for the great souls is being cultivated, then that really is a very powerful formula to advance. So that's how it is. Okay. So we have to regularly come in physical association, and we have to take the instructions in the heart and apply it in different time, place, and circumstances of our life.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. In that case, we'll successfully move to text two. Ah, feels like an achievement. Okay, you don't have much time. Okay, but a lot of it, what we have going to discuss in text two, the base is built in text one. Okay, text two and three. Okay, so we'll just go. Please recite after me. Atyahara prayasascha
Atyahara prayasascha
prajalpo niyamagraha
jalpo niyamagraha
janasangascha laulyam cha
जनसङ्घश्च
cha
Tadvir bhakti vinashyati.
Sadguru Vinashyati.
Shati.
Once devotional service is spoiled when he becomes now, please understand the connection between text 1, 2, and 3. If you say text 1, it built or it gave the framework of everything, of it gave the framework of uh, uh, you know that one has to perform devotional service and simultaneously work on controlling this urges. And why we are doing it? We are trying to do it to become a stable devotee, not a spiritual master. We are not interested in doing that. No, we're not interested to become a guru over here. All we want to do is we want to become a stable devotee in Krishna consciousness, who is not one in one match scoring 100, another match going for a duck. Okay, we want to be stable in our Krishna consciousness. Okay, that's the whole point. So this practice of devotional service as a sadhaka, there are certain things like we may have questions. Oh, why it is not happening for me? Why? So then why it is not happening and how it can happen better? That is being answered in text two and three. Okay, the practice of devotional service. In what qualities that practice has to happen, and what qualities should become diminished from our practice, which will help us to have better control over body, minds, and words, and better quality of devotional service is being described in text 2 and 3. So I hope you understand the connection between text 1, 2, and 3, text 1 and text 2. Is that okay? Are you all with me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Once devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled. Please mind the words very carefully. Too entangled. In the following six activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, atyahara; over endeavoring for mundane things that are difficult, very difficult to obtain, prayas; talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, prajalpa; practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. So there are niyam agra is actually of two types: niyam agraha and niyam agraha. Okay, so in one is trying to follow the rules and regulations blindly, and in other niyam agraha, one is trying to follow the rules agraha, but one is not actually carefully following the rules and regulations. So in one case, one is following the rules blindly, attached more to the rules, but then to the outcomes. And in the other, one is just being very casual about the rules. Fifth, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. Fifth, that is called Janasanga. Lolyam, being greedy for mundane achievements. What else does? Sadbir Bhakti Vinashyati. It spoils the devotional service. Just like you make an offering for the bhoga, and cat comes and spoils it. Okay. So purport of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so there are again three sections to this purport as well, as it was there in text one. The first section builds the base as to why Prabhupada is very very intelligent in putting things in such a proper perspective, such an amazing way Prabhupada brings it to the point of why we are discussing all these things. So Prabhupada does that introduction of of actually the need uh, to follow Atyahar and all these different scriptural rules and regulations. Okay, so and then one by one, all these faults are being described, and then you see somewhere it is not in order sometimes and all, but eventually Prabhupada covers everything because some of the things are elaborately covered in Anuvritti commentary, which is the third section of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Again, he discusses the point. So when we will be discussing, we'll be building this base of what Prabhupada is talking in the first section, and when we'll be discussing the faults individually, we will try and cover both the commentary of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Prabhupada both. Okay, so that's how we are going to do it. Okay, so that like no, it's kind of no understood in a holistic way. Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. Okay, not plain living and plain thinking, not no high thinking and high living, high or whatever, like no high living and plain thinking. Plain over here means it means useless, okay, or not useless exactly, a simple way, a very simple, non-complicated way. And high thinking, it means spiritual thinking. Okay, so human life is meant for living simply and uh, thinking for a higher subject matters. Not that we live highly and do simple thinking. Simple thinking, as in you like no materialistic thinking. It's not meant for that. It is meant for the opposite purpose. Okay, and then Prabhupada says, oh, simple living means. The point is that no, now he brings the complication. When we say simple living, uh, what's the catch over here? And then Prabhupada starts describing that um, all of us, okay, it's not because of 2020s. It is not anybody who is in this material world for whatever time he has been in material world. Uh, everybody is in control of Lord's uh, third energy. Okay, and then proper describes the three energies. What are the three energies? How many energy Lord has?
Three energies, Prabhuji.
Infinite energies. Okay. Parasya Shakti Vividher Shuyate. He is having a lot of energies, but they are broadly classified into three energies.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just like you cannot even a guy of this world, Sundar Pichai must be having so many energies. Somebody is like India CEO, and then this and then that. Each and every employee is an energy. Of the owner of the company. They are working on behalf of the owner. So what to talk of Krishna? He is like supreme personality of Godhead, but broadly classified into three categories. And Prabhupada is giving Sanskrit words to this: Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti. And Prabhupada makes the point that the conditioned souls, they are under the control of this third energy, which is Bahiranga Shakti, or material energy, or external energy. Okay. Uh, and because of our being under the control of material energy, we are supposed to obliged to work, obliged to work. Can you tell me a shloka from Bhagavad Gita which substantiates this statement? We are obliged to work and struggle in this world. Mama Evamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Manah Shashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Struggling. In that verse actually Tatastha Shakti is also explained. Mama Ivamshu. Tatastha Shakti. Marginal potencies, all of us. We are all struggling in this. Where? In this material world. Manashashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Even if you want to sleep in this world, you'll have to struggle to sleep. The point is that this world, everybody is forced to struggle. That's how this world is designed. Uh, that's how this world is designed. Very interesting world. Very interesting world. Nobody can be devoid of struggle. Let's say you are not getting mundane struggle. If you don't spiritually struggle, then the Krishna increases the mundane struggle sometimes. Because we are not using the point, using the perspective and all those things. Okay, so everybody is forced to struggle in this world. Uh, one is forced to work, but then how one should work? Okay, that's the point. But before that, Prabhupada goes elaborately. That's how Prabhupada, purports are. He gives the point a very, that magic line, and then he starts expanding on it. Okay. So there are three potencies: spiritual energy, and then there is material energy, and then there is marginal energy. Living entities constitute, or they are part of what? They are expansions of,
Materials.
Tatastha
huh?
Shakti.
Material.
Neutral points.
They are
Bahiranga.
expansions of marginal potency. Marginal potency. Huh? They are expansions of marginal potency. This material world is an expansion of Bahiranga Shakti. Huh? The spiritual world is expansion of the internal potency, of the spiritual energy of the Lord. So just try to understand this position very well, because this is important to be understood. We are not completely material also, and we are not actually completely spiritual. That's what Tatastha means. Have you gone to a beach ever?
Yes,
Have you
Prabhuji.
gone to a beach?
The
So
video was like,
if you, sorry?
the video filter was like that, the background.
Oh, where? Oh, I didn't see the which video? Who just told? Oh yeah, Chakrapani Prabhu. Oh, so he's taking us to beach. Just imagine all of you are there with Chakrapani Prabhu on the beach. So when you just walk on the beach, right on the brink, okay, of the water, and here is land. You have been there, right? Sometimes the waves come and it's water, water, water. Then the waves recede. It's land, 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 and your feet keeps going down. Huh? You've seen that, right? Now that brink, that brink, you can't say it is purely water also, and you can't say actually it is land also. That's how that margin of sea and land is. Huh? You can build anything on that land? No, you can't build anything on that land. It will just go. But you can't say it's water. You can't just float over there also. Okay? So that's how living entities are. Okay? We are spiritual, definitely. We are spiritual. Of course, Krishna confirms we are soul. Okay, and that's a good news. But we are not completely spiritual in the sense, if something is as spiritual as the spiritual energy of the Lord, then how can that energy be overpowered by Maya? How can that energy be overpowered by Maya? Which means we are spiritual, but there is some problem, because of which, all of us are, having such nice time in this material world, huh? For so many lifetimes, we are having gala time. There must be something, no? Right? You're getting my point, right? Okay. So we are not, uh, that's margin potency. Spiritual energy will never be in control of material, because spirit is higher than matter. Spirit controls the matter. Huh? Spirit controls the matter. You cook the food, food doesn't cook you, right? Okay, spirit is definitely higher than matter. But still, there is some problem, because of which we get overpowered by Bahiranga Shakti. Okay. And we are not definitely completely material, because constitutionally we are soul and soul is spirit. And we have this Satchidanand nature, which is definitely opposite to material. But so therefore, we are not definitely material, but we exhibit uh, reactions to the material transformations. Uh-huh. Such a surprising thing. No, we get sad, we get happy with material transformations around us. So in that sense, we are uh, such a confused state we are in. No? Such a confused state. That's marginal potency. Uh, what's the problem? Why we being spiritual entity, although we are spiritual, why we are getting overpowered by Maya? Can anybody tell me?
Because of three material modes, Prabhu.
So what? The spirit is higher than material any which way. Spirit is more than matter. Your food is also in three modes. You control the three types of food, whether it is there or not.
Hare Krishna
What's the
Prabhuji.
fundamental problem? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, Arvind Prabhu?
I think that any living entity, the moment we are entering into this planet, we are conditioned automatically by these three gunas.
But why? That's what we are asking. We get conditioned. I agree to your point. But why that one? What is that problem which is making us conditioned? That's what my question is.
Dukhalaya.
Past karmas.
Oh, so karma must have started at some point, right? Karma must have started. How it started? Why at all we got implicated in this karma cycle?
Propensity to enjoy apart from Krishna.
Propensity to enjoy apart from Krishna, that itself is Maya. That's where the Maya begins, actually. Why did we at all got covered by Maya in first place?
Prabhuji, maybe our mind and senses are too entangled in this.
But it must have started somewhere, no? Now it is too entangled. You know that the threads they get entangled with each other sometimes. So it must have started at some point.
Desire to be like Lord, or
Why? That itself, that desire means we got covered by Maya.
because we are pleasure seeking and we wanted to seek pleasure in this material world.
We
Pleasure
envy
seeking,
Krishna.
yeah, that's not a problem. Pleasure seeking is not a problem. In spiritual world, everybody is seeking pleasure.
We want to seek pleasure. Not keeping Krishna in center.
But that's the problem. We remove Krishna from center, so something must have happened, right?
You choose to come out of Krishna's
False ego.
False ego. We accepted this.
We envied Krishna, Prabhu.
Uh,
Krishna is enjoying. We wanted to enjoy.
there is a very there is no Krishna wants us to enjoy as a servant, but we want to enjoy separately because we are small. Because we are small. No, that is fine. Why we are attracted? Because we are small. Prabhupada uses the word infinitesimal. Krishna is infinite. We are infinitesimal. And Prabhupada, to elaborate this, he gives an example. Just like this, from the sun globe, the sun rays come, sun rays they come. Okay. Sun rays have the same quality as the sun has, but the quantum is less. Quantum is very less. Therefore, the sun rays can get covered by clouds. Sun cannot be. You're getting my point? Does that make sense? That's what the point is, that uh, we are atomic. Prabhupada is mentioning atomic living entities. Okay, and then when although we are very small, we have the independence, and when we misuse our independence, we become in the control of the external energy. And then Srila Prabhupada explains that actually, if the jivas remain under the control of the internal energy, they will naturally their dharma is going to be naturally engagement in devotional service. But the problem happens that and then Prabhupada gives that verse of Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakriti mashrita bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Okay. And he says that no, those great souls who are always under the protection of divine nature, what happens to them? If the soul is purely under the influence of spiritual energy, naturally, without any prayas, without any endeavor, soul engages in the pure devotion service to the Lord. But when the soul comes under the material energy, that is where the struggle starts, where all of us are. Okay, okay. And then Prabhupada starts to okay. So therefore, like no, I mean, while we are spiritual, we don't quite fit in this material world. Okay, and that's marginal energy. We are some belong to some other place, but we are placed somewhere else where we don't fit, and that's why so much of struggle, so much of problem is there. Okay, okay. So then Prabhupada says, this is Mahatma. And who is Duratma? Prabhupada gives the opposite. Mahatma means, and Prabhupada translates Mahatma as broad-minded. Broad-minded. One whose mind is Mahatma. Okay. Maha means big, a big heart, like no, big heart, big mind. Okay. Whereas opposite of Mahatma, which means those who are under the influence of material energy, what they become? They become narrow-minded. And Prabhupada names the word over here, cripple-minded, Duratma, cripple-minded. So Mahatma, they want to please Krishna, and cripple-minded people, they just want to please themselves. That's the difference. Okay, that's the difference. No? The cripple-minded people, they want to satisfy their senses. They want to satisfy their senses. Okay, and so that's how this world is. The world people are in general, in one sense, very selfish. Selfish. They're just concerned about their pleasure, Okay, they're just concerned about their pleasure. But that's material life. Prabhupada used to say, material life means selfish life. Prabhupada used to say this point, selfish life. Uh, it is, it is, it is selfish. Uh, you may think that no, oh no, there are some people who are working for their country. How are they selfish? Yes, it may look like better selfishness than those who are just working for their families, or they're working for themselves. But why they are working for a particular country, my country? Because it's about me. It's about me. Selfishness means it's about me. It's all about me. So when you're frustrated with satisfying just one senses, then you broaden it and try to satisfy my family, and then broaden it and try to satisfy my society or my nation. But it all remains, center is me. This belongs to me, therefore I'll satisfy this. Serve this. So Prabhupada is very excellent and smart. He brings the point of Mahatma, and he doesn't misses that point of nationalism, because Prabhupada used to be very heavy that Mahatma, one of the leader was named as Mahatma, and Prabhupada said, no, Mahatma means one who is serving Krishna. That's what Mahatma is. Okay. So only when a person gratifies the senses of Supreme Lord can he be called Mahatma. So, it is just like the circle is broadening, okay? And when it reaches Krishna, one becomes Mahatma. Before that, it's all about me. It's all being cripple minded. It's all being Duratma. Okay, okay, okay. And then Prabhupada is basically saying that uh, why one serves under the uh, instructions of uh, you know uh, what happens when one is under the control of internal potency, and then Prabhupada describes this internal potency as Srimati Radharani and Lakshmi Devi. That they are personified. Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. Okay, and and then because their engagement, their service is just to be absorbed in service of Krishna in the most spiritual way, then automatically when we are in their control and when we are control of their senses and everything, then we become happy and satisfied. Okay? And we just serve Krishna, nothing else is there for us. Okay. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada is saying, is putting the position of Mahatma and Duratma, and then he again comes back that those people who are under the control of Mahamaya, they suffer. Okay, they're supposed to struggle. That is one, and while they are struggling, they are subjected to threefold suffering. And then Prabhupada gives these three sufferings. You must have heard these three sufferings for sure. Adi Daivik Klesh, Adi Bhautik Klesh, and Adhyatmik Klesha. Can anybody tell me what is Adi Daivik Klesh?
Caused by natural calamities.
Yeah, caused by natural calamities, or Daivik also means demigods. Uh, of course, the nature, all these calamities are under the control of the demigods only. Okay, so natural calamities. What is Adi Bhautik Klesha?
Caused by other,
From other creatures,
caused by body.
Caused by
other
Body.
creatures.
other living entities, not body. That is Adhyatmika. Uh, Adi Bhautik is the klesha caused by the other living entities, like insects, bosses, enemies, colleagues, and sometimes relatives, some or the other, mosquitoes. Um, I don't know where we'll put coronavirus actually. I think in Adi Daivik klesha we'll put, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, we suffer. No point categorizing it. The point is whether you keep categorizing or not, we are suffering. Okay. What is Adhyatmik Klesha? Adhyatmik Klesha is that is by
Caused by
one's
our
body.
inner self.
Yeah, not inner self. Inner self may mean soul also. Soul
Yeah.
is not causing any suffering to us.
Yes.
The suffering caused
Mind,
by
body,
one's
senses.
body and mind.
Yeah.
Body and mind. Okay. Now, some mental issues, depression, suppression, oppression, so many pressures, and then, you know, physical deformities. Everything is going well, something happens. So mm, we are all subjected to these three miseries, okay, and we suffer various difficulties. And it's not it. There are four other problems we all are subjected to, okay. Uh, and those are what?
Janma,
Four,
Mrityu,
four
Jara,
major
Vyadhi.
problems. So this is a package of seven, package of seven problems we have. Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, and then, oh, don't worry, don't think that no, you will only have this four milestones. Between that also you'll keep getting something. That's Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik Klesha. So whole life is a very nice adventurous package of misery, of different kinds. Sometimes we celebrate seeing someone else's misery, that my misery is little lesser on, but then everybody is being subjected to misery in this world. Everyone, everyone is just subjected. There is no other way. And in all this, no, we are forced to work. We are forced to work. We are forced to work, maintain our body. So now, how do you do it? Okay, how does one do it so that these miseries are also minimized, and we can also progress towards Krishna consciousness. Okay, one may decide that I'll sit in forest, I'll not meet anyone only, I'll not talk to anyone, I'll not do this, I'll not do that. I'll just uh, I'll just chant Hare Krishna. The point is, you can't if that is not one's level. One will be forced to work. As soon as one starts interacting, all these things will come quickly. All these different things will come, and one will be forced to act. Forced to act. So, how do we work in such a way in this material world? How does a devotee operate in this world in such a way that devotee is happy in this life and happy in next? That's our target. Is that not our target? Huh? Happy in this life and happy in next. What a deal! What a deal! What an amazing deal! Uh, Sometimes you are thinking, oh, I have to go back to Godhead. Only after going back to Godhead I can be happy. How can I be happy now? So this is the deal Rupa Goswami is giving us. We can happily be engaged in devotional service right now, and we can happily go back to Godhead. Okay. If we avoid following six things, and if we follow the following six things which will come in text. Okay. So let's start with Atyahara. Hmm. Let's start with Atyahara. Atyahara, if you do Sandhi Viched, all of you know Sandhi Viched. Ati and Ahar. Okay. Ati and Ahar. When E and A combine, they become Ya. Atyahar. Ati means Ati. Too much, too much. And Ahar means eating. But why eating? Huh? Already, Rupa Goswami has discussed about Udara Vegam, Jiva Vegam. Huh? Already has discussed eating. Why will he again? Rupa Goswami will waste his time in 11 texts. Huh? Why will he do that? No? He is giving nectar of instructions. He cannot even do a fault of repetition. He has to present something exclusive for this. Therefore, ahar word doesn't only mean eating. It means it means collecting the objects of enjoyment of our senses. Not just eating, but what we want to see, what we want to touch, we want to smell, you want to hear, you want to. In various ways, we enjoy through these senses, collecting those objects more than what we can. Mind you, it says more than what we need, more than if you see the focus, it's about too much. It's about because it is not possible to stay without enjoyment. When a living entity decides, I'm not going to enjoy, it's a figment of imagination. It's a figment of imagination. One cannot, one cannot do it. Only problem is when that enjoyment uh, is devoid of Krishna. Okay, it is excluding Krishna out of the picture. Here you go, Krishna out of the window. Let me enjoy independently. That is a problem. Okay, that is a problem. So that is called Atyahara. Okay, that is called Atyahara. Just give me a moment. Let me put a charger. You able to see and hear me properly? Okay. Okay. So that is Atyahara. Hmm? And Srila Prabhupada, he starts to make the concept clear. He basically attacks a tendency in a very subtle way. He starts with eating only, and how he's kind of translating is uh, collecting more than necessary for one's actual basic needs. Okay. And then Prabhupada gives the example of graphic example of bag of grains, bag of grains or rice. If let's say we're going on the road and it kind of falls from a vehicle and whole rice is now spread all over the road. How will the animals come? They will take only what they are supposed to take. But what will human beings do? They will just bring two polythenes. They'll tell their kids, you also get one polythene. Okay. And we'll do because there's a natural tendency in us to accumulate. There's a natural tendency in us to accumulate. And sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times, in fact, all of the times, in general, in this world, we tend to accumulate too much. We tend to accumulate too much, and when we do that, it is something which creates a lot of problem for us. Okay, it creates a lot of problem for us because uh, when we accumulate things more than required, our devotional mood is kind of spoiled. We can't we can't parallelly think of pleasing Krishna, and on the other hand, we are like, no, it said, no, muh mein Ram, bagal mein chura. You know, so it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult to um, live in a very devotional consciousness, and at the same time accumulating like mad, like this and that. Many more of everything, more of houses, more of bank balance, more of this, more of cars, more of, so many things. It just spoils the mood. It cultivates a mood of an enjoyer in our life. And then naturally we are not able to serve in a proper way, and then we lose that taste, things like that. Okay. It is not a problem for us alone. It's a problem for the whole world. Atyahar is a problem because of which the whole world is suffering. Prabhupada is mentioning this point. Now the entire world is suffering because of it. You know, the capitalism, this whole structure is built on the principle of Atyahar. There was a report by Oxfam. Oxfam, you have seen, you must have read through. 1% of the wealth, 1% of the people in the world, in India, they own 77% of the wealth of the country. Can you imagine? 1% people in India occupy 77% of the wealth. Can you imagine? Huh? Close to 1.4 billion people don't have access to clean cooking gas. Huh? Close to 1.2 billion people don't have access to clean drinking water. Huh? Uh, this world is so unequal. This world is so unequal. Uh, this world and the whole suffering is because of that. You don't see the planet is very peaceful right now. Uh, one country is trying to become richer and richer, and there are countries which are getting bankrupt, and don't have an option. You have to participate in that journey of nonsensical capitalism. Nonsensical, absolutely nonsensical. Because even if, let's say, you have 1,000 crore rupees, what will you do? It's a problem to manage that money also. Beyond some amount, we don't need. We don't need. Huh? It becomes more of a problem, more of a headache. If we are not able to constructively use the resources which Krishna is giving us, it's a problem. It's a problem. It becomes like a toxic, uh, you know, toxic waste of our life, you know, toxic waste of our life. And when we want to accumulate more and 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 more of everything, then it becomes a problem. Okay. In devotee life also, sometimes this may come as matter of devotional. It may take a devotional facade. I'll, I'm so spirited. I'll retire early. I'll make a lot of money and retire early, or I'll make a lot of money and I'll donate to temple. Ah, okay, please save yourself before you start saving temple and world. Please start saving yourself. Okay, don't try to um, overdo things. Okay, we need to we need to have a proper balance. We need to have a proper balance. That's why each Upanishad you'll be studying in a Bhakti Shastri. The mantra one is all about that Ishavasya principle. Is that you just you occupy what you need. Okay, there's no harm. Householders are prescribed to save money. There's no problem in that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that point in Atyaha, that a householder can save money, but it should not become like, oh my God, you're looking like you madly acquiring, madly after money, madly this and madly that, and acquiring one possession after another, and one fine day we'll be gone, taken by surprise. Death takes us by surprise. So that's what happens. So we have valuable time and energy. We should not waste it. We should not waste it. Okay, that's what Prabhupada is mentioning in Atyahar, that uh, uh, according to scripture, this collecting of more than necessary is prohibited. Prabhupada uses the word prohibited. Is prohibited not because it's just like that one of the kid who just wants a toys for himself, and we as parents sometimes you go, no, no, that's not good. But ultimately, we all are behaving like those kids, in a very big way. We're not. We are just madly acquiring so many resources. Therefore, Prabhupada towards the end in Anuvritti's commentary after that, Prabhupada talks of communism. Prabhupada says Actually, Krishna consciousness is spiritual communism. We don't we don't actually believe in this capitalism and mundane communism. Capitalism, it took birth. I'll tell you a short story before we. So I should tell. We had a subject in our MBA called Global Economic Environment and Policy, GEEP. Yeah. So there it was being, the professor taught us that 500 years back, roughly, no, everything was being governed very peacefully. There was no globalization, localization was there, and the it was all guided by the churches or the temples. They were all guiding everything. And then came a group called Protestants. Then came a group called Protestants in Western Europe. Okay. And their thought process was, before that, the thought process of people was, we'll follow God, and we'll be happy. We'll follow God and we'll be happy. And Protestants came up with the idea, how can we be happy by not pleasing our senses? How can we be happy by pleasing someone else? That's what my professor told. It was looking like giving a lecture on pure devotional service. So that's how Protestants started. And in that endeavor, the whole concept of industrialization took place. They started acquiring, uh, natural resources to gain more, to build more and more objects, to gain maximum and more pleasure to the senses. And in that way, they started building industries, hiring people, and the capitalism took its birth. Then they started from Western Europe, they went to US and then Australia, and then this way started covering all the parts of the world. And then from that, a group came. They started feeling that only a particular section of people are becoming richer in this. The other people are getting exploited. So distribute the money equally, distribute it equally. Okay. So that's where the communism came up. Okay, so some countries adopted communism, some countries adopted capitalism. We see the fight is still going on amongst these two philosophies. But Prabhupada says one is a big thief, the other is a small thief. Prabhupada says one is a big thief. And the other is saying, hey, we all are thieves, but the stolen money is not getting equally distributed. So let's distribute it equally. But Prabhupada says all this money, all resources belong to Krishna. That's spiritual communism. That is spiritual communism. That it all belongs to Krishna and everyone uses what they're supposed to use, what they're supposed to use. Anyhow, that's Satya. So much of suffering for the world and for a practicing devotee, so much of suffering can be there because of Tyahar. So devotee needs to be balanced. Once I asked Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj about my jobs and so on and so forth. So he told, uh, always look for an equation where money divided by time, money divided by time. He was like, always like money divided by time. Uh, if something you can get by investing less time, same money, or more money with equal time, So, because uh, when you get into Atyahar, as it comes next, Atyahara leads to Prayas. It leads to over endeavoring. Okay. So, anyhow, how to deal with Atyahar? Okay, for a practicing devotee, what are the key tips? Okay, please note this down. Um, the first is, uh, transformation of all our activities as Krishna conscious activities. Even our work should be Krishna conscious. How can I convert my work into devotional service? Just keep thinking, I'm earning this money to maintain my Vaishnav household. Okay. Uh, convert every activity, what we are doing, to Krishna consciousness. That will that will automatically jaha jaha where Krishna Surya Sama Maya Andhakar jaha rahe Krishna tar nahi Maya Andhakar. No, wherever Krishna is there, then he is the one. Maya doesn't come over there. So first important thing is this. In all our activities, try to see how we are dovetailing that activity in Krishna service. That's the first thing. That's a practice. That's a practice. Second thing is being balanced in our life. I told you the 7 pillars. Okay, please see that no 7 pillars, how we are faring in those 7 pillars, how we are leading a balanced life. Okay. The third thing is cultivating knowledge. All these things, as this Ram Reddy Prabhu was mentioning, we hear classes, we do chanting, we come to center, then back we go. It's so difficult. So we have to constantly read, expand our knowledge. We have to expand our spiritual knowledge. Uh, Not that we go mad in trying to acquire knowledge so much so that we are just focused. That is also atyahar. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes one of the meaning of atyahar as this also, that one is reading too much, too much. Prabhuji, can you come and serve? No, no, I'm reading. I'm reading. I'm just reading. I'm just stop reading. Prabhuji, can you do some seva? No, no, no. I'm not even chanting. I'm reading nowadays. Okay. So no, no, no. So that is also atyahar. More than necessary, more than necessary, because mind is also one of the sense. Intelligence is also one of the type of sense. Okay. But it's important to cultivate regularly knowledge by applying and reading, by reading and applying, by realization, by discussing, by meditating, by application. All these things will lead to realized knowledge. Accepting sense objects as Krishna's mercy. That's the fourth point. Accepting sense objects as Krishna's mercy. We should see everything as Krishna's mercy. If you are getting money, nice job, you're earning well, see it as Krishna's mercy. See it as Krishna's mercy. Use it for your comfort level to get more time for your Krishna consciousness, for the family's Krishna consciousness. But please don't forget the connection between what you're getting and Krishna's mercy. Everything we are getting is by Krishna's mercy. Then our tendency to enjoy those objects or misusing or not using it constructively, those things will go away. Okay, that's the fourth point.
Prabhuji, this is the Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry. This is the third or
Yeah.
fourth point, Prabhuji.
This is fourth point. First point was transformation of activities. Second point was being balanced. Third point was acquiring knowledge. Fourth point is accepting sense objects as mercy. Oh, and fifth point, uh, accepting sense objects as mercy only to the degree it is needed. Not that, oh, it is Krishna's mercy, it is money is Krishna's mercy only. No, so let me acquire more and more. Okay. And I'll use it. I'll use it for Krishna's service. No, only as much as what we can see, what we can manage, what we can manage, that much. Okay, that is what is important. Okay, and sixth is avoiding improper accumulation. Okay, improper accumulation. Accumulation is important, but not improperly accumulating, making very difficult goals in one's life, making very, very, uh, you know, lofty targets for us monetarily, uh, lifestyle wise, increasing our lifestyle every year, uh, beyond our, beyond something which will be difficult to maintain later on. Once we get addicted to a lifestyle, that becomes very difficult. Okay. And once we become addicted to this habit of increasing lifestyle every year, then it becomes all the more difficult. Okay. So, okay, whatever lifestyle is comfortable, a lifestyle for person A and lifestyle of person B cannot be the same. A can never be equal to B because we are coming from a different background. When a king takes Vanaprastha or when a Brahman takes Vanaprastha, their external situation is not same. It is slightly different. But king is trying to be simpler in his context. Brahman is trying to be simpler in his context. So we should try to become simpler in our context, not that we try to compare ourselves with others. Are you getting my point? Is it making sense? Okay. So Atyahar. Atyahar is these are the six very important points how we can manage Atyahar. Okay. How we can manage Atyahar. And next we move is Prayas.
Can you repeat fifth one, Prabhuji? Sorry.
Sorry?
Can you repeat fifth one, Prabhuji? I missed it.
Fifth one is accepting the sense objects as mercy only as far as it is required to be engaged. Whatever you can manage. Okay. So it has multiple meanings. Even thinking too much is atyahar.
Prabhuji, that is fourth.
That is the fourth
Thinking
one.
too much. Fourth one is accepting sense objects as mercy. And fifth one is you can say related, but it also quantum, only as far as required. Only as far as required. Thinking too much, Oh, this will happen. Oh, then that will happen. Oh, then this will happen. Oh, then that will happen. Okay, let it happen. Let it happen. Don't think too much. Okay. So, of course, human life means to think. Uh, so that's why we think sometimes too much. But we have to think about self-realization. That is a primary thought process. Okay. And then other things, we have to do it. We have to do it. It's not that the acharyas are saying that you have to become casual in saving money. One should save. But let's say one is going to blockchain, or I'll go crypto, I'll do derivatives, I'll do this, I'll do that, all these different gambling ways, rummy, ye wo sab, sab bakwas hai sab. Is not right. It just kills, saps our consciousness completely. Don't try to find shortcuts to accumulate a lot of things. Okay. Sometimes one may think, oh, then let me accumulate more things by putting less effort. So let me engage in certain activities which may give me very quick money. Some crypto and some bitcoins and some this and some that. No, that's a trap. That's also unethical. Uh, because if we are trying to earn money through shortcuts, shortcuts are always dangerous. US is on the brink of debt default. Do you know that? Or if you know? Uh, if they don't default now, they'll anyways default later because they can't control their spending now. The same Atyahar principle is going to kill uh, because you are trying to accumulate more than required. Now the standards are too much. The governments are not ready to reduce the spend. And if US defaults, imagine what is going to happen. Just imagine. IMF just came up with a report day before yesterday stating that it will have serious global repercussions. Anyways, even if they some mechanical means they try to avoid, but according to scriptures, it is not sustainable. And we are going to have tough time. So have a simple lifestyle. Have a simple lifestyle, and then it will be fine. Then we move to prayas. Prabhupada is connecting Atyahar and prayas. Prabhupada is saying collecting and eating more than necessary also causes prayas or unnecessary endeavor. Obviously, naturally, if I'm trying to, you know, accumulate more, then obviously I'll have to work more and more. At least I'll have to, either work more or if I'm being a little shana, shana patti, then I'll try to find some shortcuts, do this. Oh, I'll do derivatives. I'll do this. I'll do that. Then it is prayasa at a mental level. Every time I'll be thinking of market, 9 a.m., market is going to open. What will happen? Whether my this position, I'll be scared. Uh, sounds familiar? Sounds familiar to some or no? Okay. Okay, so that's how it is. There's a practical problems for grihasthas, but practical things for grihasthas. But Prabhupada is saying that no, actually, if we keep our lifestyle simple, even if the world or economic system blows up, we still can survive happily. No, we still can survive happily if we have that habit of not accumulating more than necessary, having a simple life. If Krishna is giving more money any which ways to us, flooding us, then after doing proper saving and security, we should donate, we should offer it, we should use it constructively for the purposes which are actually useful, which are going to contribute to the society. That helps. That helps us. Uh, so Prabhupada is making the point by God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully. Uh, if he has some land and a milk cow. Leelana Prabhu ki jai. He's the one who is setting by example, He's having a goshala and all. So let's say if tomorrow there is a global recession also which comes, or new capitalism comes, uh, sort of communism, socialism. You have a cow. We can chant Hare Krishna, stay with association of devotees, milk the cow, make some grains. No, Arvind Prabhu can have wheat. No, Srinivas Prabhu can grow dal, and we can do exchanges. No, devotee can live happily in all circumstances. And we save. It's not that we don't save. We are not practical. We work nicely. We work nicely. We need to grow in job, but not madly. Not that we are not left with any time or energy. Prayas, the basic problem what with prayas is when we over endeavor for difficult things which are difficult to be achieved, when we over endeavor, make a lot of effort, then that causes the loss of time, the loss of energy. Our whole mind is drained. Whole mind is drained. Whole intelligence is gone. The brain substance, which is to be used for understanding spiritual subjects, is like uselessly slapped in unnecessarily endeavoring for something which are very difficult to achieve. Something which is achievable, we have to work, we have to struggle. There is no problem. Hmm. But overworking for very difficult objectives, for very difficult goals, is foolishness. It will make us foolish. And Prabhupada, if you see in the purport, Prabhupada is repeatedly mentioning this point of intelligence, intelligence, intelligence. Just see the purport, okay? Just see the purport. Till the time Prabhupada is describing prayas, Prabhupada uses the word intelligence so many times. Hmm. Fortunately, man has been given higher intelligence for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness or understanding of God, one's relationship with Him, and ultimate goal of life, love of God. Hmm. How he's doing? Utilizes his intelligence to get more than necessary and simply eat to satisfy the tongue. Recently I was engaged in my in TCS. Like, no, I basically manage a client, and they were working with Government of India to do this Pejal Sarvekshan, drinking water assessment. Okay, across 485 cities. Very shortly, you'll have results across 485 main cities of India. And you know what? The motivation point of starting this project is that, no, the government is foreseeing that we'll have water, you know, literal water crunch happening in next 5 to 6 years. Literal water crunch. It is going to get very, very difficult for us. So imagine we have big skyscrapers building where we invested crores, everything is there. But what are we doing? Collectively, we are going down to hell in terms of, like, no, let's say there is no water. Is it unimaginable? It is very much imaginable. Many cities in South Africa, they have lost water. India is also on its way. India is on its way. Okay. There are very few places where there is good water left. And those are the places where capitalism is the least. Somehow there is a relation. Somehow there is a relation. Okay. So that's the point. Uh, uh, our basic needs will become difficult. People are having problem of sleeplessness. McKinsey is one of the company. McKinsey is one of the consulting companies. McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. They're called MBB. Top three consulting firms of world. And McKinsey covered a next pandemic. What is going to be the next pandemic? Can you imagine? Huh? Can you imagine what is the next pandemic? Sleeplessness. Sleeplessness is the next pandemic. And McKinsey is saying 45% of people in world are not having sound sleep. 45%. Can you imagine? 45%. And they are saying it is going to have severe implications on productivity, uh, corporate productivity. So they're like, no, they're like, no, like donkey. They are again trying to catch the tail. They are trying to improve office productivity by improving sleep. But there's so many things which are getting lost, not just official productivity. So many things are getting lost. So sleeplessness, sleep will become a rare commodity. Somebody who's having sleep will be considered like, oh, wow, you're so fortunate, you're sleeping well. Okay, okay. So basic necessities of our life is getting, because we are over endeavoring, we are using this intelligence, finer intelligence, for accumulating more than necessary. So at least as devotees, we should be careful about this. We should not that I don't have time to chant my 16 rounds. I don't have time to hear. I don't have time to read. I don't have time to even do one service in a week. That's called prayas. That means we are in a situation which is on a regular basis. Some days it is okay. When it becomes a regular feature, we don't have time for our own spiritual life. That means prayas. That's a practical meaning of prayas. Uh, Roji, you're chanting 16 rounds. So, Roji, I was chanting 16 rounds. Now I'm down to 8 rounds. Why? Because my job is such 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day. Okay. But even if remove devotional service, how can you even survive? Your life is anyways getting shortened by 10 years if you have that kind of lifestyle. So we need to think. We need to have creative ways. We need to think. We need to think, at least not for us, but at least for our kids. We need to think how we can make their life, uh, at least humanly, at least humanly, not worse than animals. Even animals are having good life. They have regulated life. They sleep on time. They wake up on time. They do eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We are becoming worse than animals. Unregulated eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Worse than animals. Okay. So we need to think creatively, and Krishna will help. If we pray to Krishna, if we beg for his mercy, he'll give us the right balance. He'll give us the right balance. The point is not that devotee takes some ad hoc decisions and tries to just switch off the work life. No, maybe not. It is that's not the point. One has to ensure that one's family's Krishna consciousness is also preserved. But one has to find out a way. One has to find out a way if one is locked in prayas. Huh? You're getting this point? You're getting this point? So that's
Prabhuji, one
prayas.
small question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So normally investment in the shares and stock market is also considered as gambling.
Investment for long term is okay, but
Yeah,
investing in short term, intraday, all
that
these
is
things are
not allowed.
considered to be gambling.
So like mutual
Yeah.
funds and such things are okay, but doing transactions on a daily basis is not correct.
Yes, yeah, that is not advisable. Now, even on mutual fund and stock, let me tell you, I mean, I've been investing since my 10th class, when like what, 2000. I've been like avid stock investor from 2000. So after that, I came to Krishna consciousness. There was a period. So my understanding is this, that you should not over depend on stock markets also for your future retirement. Sometimes devotees say, I'll just park all my money in SIP, cart on cart and cart and cart. Um, I mean, it is like too much, expecting when your economy is not even growing by 4%, 5%, stock markets are continuing to grow by 15%. A mutual fund portfolio will grow by it is kind of, too much of expectation. Okay. And after all, these fund managers are being managed. There are so many companies which are giving rigged. Of course, I can't discuss too much on in Nectar of Instruction Bhakti Shastri class, but then my point is that, you know, uh, like I'll give you one instance. No, there was one stock and I got an IPO for that. No, I got the stock in IPO. And that company never existed. And who was the auditor of that company? Deloitte. And they had Sunny Deol as their brand ambassador. No, imagine, huh? And they're giving publications in the newspapers that we have got contract from Indian Railways. The company never existed, intrinsic value was zero.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is, but that's what it happens. So my point is that no, the shortcut to earn a lot of money, that mentality itself is not going to work. So invest money, but if you lose that money, don't have a heart attack. That's the principle.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Haribol. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, so that's prayas. Okay. So, we should rather use our time, energy, and intelligence in like no in save it to increase our endeavor in Krishna consciousness. Increase our endeavor. Krishna consciousness is actually ahetuki apratihata. Bhakti is not dependent on our endeavor. Bhakti is not like that. Oh, I'll put more effort now I'll chant 32 rounds. Krishna has to come in half time, what he was supposed to come because I've doubled my rounds. No, so that's not the mentality in Krishna consciousness. Krishna, we are there are only two prayas or endeavor in a devotee's life. One is Nam Ruchi and Jeev Daya. These two prayas we need to cultivate. These two prayas. Everything else, Krishna will himself, as we continue performing, we lead a balanced lifestyle, we continue reading, we continue hearing, we continue doing our duties. Krishna will start revealing everything to us. And all we have to do is more taste in holy name. What I can do to have a better taste, what I can do, avoid, which is not allowing me to have a better taste. And Jeev Daya, sharing this mercy with others, sharing this mercy with others. These are the two things where a devotee has to put endeavor: Nam Ruchi and Jivaya. So avoiding the mundane prayas, okay, which is not that like no, we don't want to work as grahastha. We will be working, but not working to such an extent that we don't have time for our own selves, for our own spiritual life. Not that Prabhuji is following up, he's irritating me so much. Oh, he's irritating for your good. He's irritating for your good. Okay. Please don't take it that way because one fine day the life is over. Life is over. We don't know. Krishna consciousness is going to stay with us. This is going to save us. This will be the thing which will save us in our last phase of our life. Okay. Many people after 50, I know some devotees we are preaching now. After 45, they have accepted Krishna consciousness. They're saying that no, now we got some meaning to our lives. After 50, we are seeing a vision for ourselves, So Krishna consciousness gives a vision for an individual. Otherwise, what will a person do after retirement? Let's say nothing. But when we are devotee, we can engage in preaching, we can go to yatras, we can go to parikramas, we can do this and we can do so many things. Such an adventurous life, such an amazing life. So let's continue investing in that life. Okay. 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 So mundane prayas will be reduced if our spiritual prayas is increased, and if our spiritual prayas is increased, mundane prayas will reduce. Okay. So it's a reciprocal relationship. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, fine. So as grahastas, we just remember that Krishna is the goal of my life. We worship deities at our home. Very, very important. We worship deities at our home. Just a second. Otherwise, how we are making things Krishna conscious for us? It is very difficult. If we chant Hare Krishna, we keep deities at home, we engage in some service, and those 7 pillars of balance. Please remember, deities are also important. Okay. Okay. So with this, we finish prayas. Okay. Over endeavoring for mundane achievements or achievements which are very difficult to come by. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada is kind of talking about this, elaborately talking about this in prayas. And he closes the point: if our endeavor is not to inquire about absolute truth, we'll simply increase our endeavor to satisfy our artificial needs. A spiritual aspirant should avoid mundane endeavor. Yeah. Question.
Hare Krishna, is it okay ask question now, Prabhu, or wait till end of the
No,
session?
no. Yeah. What we can do is let's quickly cover Prajalpa and please park your question. We'll spend, let's say, last 20 minutes on questions. Okay. I may overshoot a bit because of the technical glitches we had. So please bear with me. All of you are there with me? Are you all getting bored? Not interested? If anything like that, please tell me. Okay. We can't do much about it. Please continue. Okay. Don't have even time to crack jokes. Okay. Not bad. So with a lot of prayas, we have covered prayas. And now we move to Prajalpa. Okay. Prajalpa. Prajalpa is very interesting. Prajalpa is very, very interesting. I'm talking about all these things. Don't think I'm overcoming this. I'm saying this for myself, to basically overcome for myself. Prabhupada makes a very nice point, in Prajalpa. It kind of, looks like it overlaps with Vachovegam. But it is much more detailed. Prajalpa is much more detailed. It is covering a lot of things. Another impediment is Prajalpa, unnecessary talking. When we mix with a few friends, we immediately begin unnecessary talking, sounding just like croaking toads. Croaking toads example, Prabhupada just told me. So maybe on a WhatsApp group, it is not just physically talking. It may be on a Facebook chat, or it may be this, it may be that. We will not be talking, but we are writing. You remember the Prabhupada's example of Mon Yogi was writing it. More energy goes, more energy on WhatsApp. And then Prabhupada gives some of the items of Prajalpa. Those outside of Krishna consciousness movement are interested in reading heaps of newspapers. See, Prabhupada is not heaps of newspaper. There are some people who start their day with newspaper, and they have first half and second half of newspapers. The whole day they can read newspaper as if the world is getting run by them. Nothing happens. And they use it. So as grahastas, we have to be updated, definitely. Okay. And I know it's a big struggle with the internet coming in. That's the most difficult thing which has happened to us in our lives. Internet, this mobile network, when it is on, imperceptibly the hand goes on the browser and you just click on a news and just check what is happening. Okay. It all comes unfortunately under Prajalpa. So one can probably take a newspaper, one has to be updated, maybe take a good newspaper and just see through it. Okay. So that one is updated and not updated about some nonsensical things happening in the city or country, some nonsensical, politics, useless politics, which is nothing but a trash. But some things more meaningful, which are related to our job, which are related to, like personally, my area is more to do with, strategy building at TCS and all those things. So I have, and definitely I have, I was always fond of news. So I got this business standard newspaper. I felt that, okay, this is helping me to, and I spend like maybe 20-25 minutes and then go through that paper and I'm updated. And I try to minimize my net time on news so that, okay, I have whatever 20-25 minutes, I did that and I'm clear with what is happening. That helps me in my, overall management of things and everything. Okay. So heaps of newspaper, just going on reading as if you don't have any time, you have all the time in the world, as if you have nothing to do. Okay. Prajalpa basically happens when we are not sufficiently engaged in Krishna consciousness. The natural next outcome is Prajalpa. Natural next outcome is Prajalpa when we are not sufficiently engaged. Too much time office is also a problem. When there's too much of time, we'll open this app, that app, we'll start browsing this thing, and it just keeps going. Some trailer, some this, some that, some this, some that. The only solution is sufficient engagement in Krishna consciousness. Just keep increasing your engagements in Krishna consciousness. Heaps of newspaper, magazines and novels, solving crossword puzzles, doing many other nonsensical things, Prabhupada is saying. Probably in Prabhupada's time, there was no such apps, a Netflix or a Amazon Prime or Dream 11. And that's why Prabhupada is predicting now and saying many other nonsensical things, or some games, some video games. Waste of time, waste of effort. In Grahastha setup, you may have kids who are grown up, and you may have to show them content also, because in this day and age you can't say zero content. That is not going to happen at all. Never. Okay. So the point is that content is but one cannot be just drowned in that. One cannot be just drowned in that. One is wasting time. One is just spending all the time. One is sacrificing one's services on a prolonged basis. Then it becomes like Bharat Maharaj and deer story. I'm trying to protect my dependents and I'm gone with them. Oh, I'll show them some web series. Okay, they'll be happy. It's good content. And with them, we are also gone. And then we have stopped our chanting and we are also seeing with them only. We went to deliver them and we ourselves got delivered and bold. Okay, so it's a fine balance, for Grahastha. It's difficult for Grahastha. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing. Believe me, it's not going to be easy. But the solution, which I feel, is that sufficient engagement in Krishna consciousness. That's a saving grace. Fix some time for reading. Fix some time for reading. I'll read half an hour a day. Fix some time for your engagements. And if you're becoming too free, that's a problem. Okay, that's a problem. So just address that problem. Okay. In the Western countries, old men retired from active life, play cards, fish, watch television, and debate about useless socio-political schemes. All these and other frivolous activities are included in Prajalpa category. So basically, you engage in frivolity only if you have time. So idle time has to be avoided. And somehow I'm yet to work on it. So I can't really comment too much on it. But I'm just trying my best that let's open the mobile network only when it is needed. When the mobile network is constantly open, you keep getting some notification. Of course, some platforms we don't have to be there everywhere. They're on Insta, you're there on Twitter, you're there on this, you're there on that, you're there on everything. Facebook. I know my brother was with Airtel, and one of the one of the divisional CEO, he never was using WhatsApp, never. They knew the perils of this mobile network, they were not using it. We are now gone, we're now gone. And I see that people who have never touched it or used it, the old people also, they are so much caught by this, easy content, clickable content. That's becoming a big problem. Okay, so sufficient engagement in Krishna consciousness, and you can't just detach yourself from that. Also, that is also not going to happen. So again, sufficient engagement in, of course, one should not be watching some nonsensical content, which is to do with, which is breaking of the regulative principles. All those, that kind of sexual content and all those things. But it may be that you may have to show some documentaries to the kids, for which you will have to see. But then you're getting a point, no? You can't just say no, zero, and you can't just get into it. That's a tough balance. It's a tough balance. It's not an easy balance. Okay. Any questions on Prajalpa? Some things are there, Prajalpa, within devotee circle also. You may think that, no, it's only about this material. There are certain Prajalpa activities even in devotees, sometimes uselessly arguing about some things. Useless arguments. Okay, we may get into arguments. Avoid getting into arguments, outside and inside. Sometimes in social media we become too active, as if our social media comments is going to convert a lot of people. Okay, so when it is getting into the zone of argument, okay, we may be wanting to rectify certain things on social media, or let's say we're talking to a set of people, we want to rectify. But when it is getting into the zone of mindless arguments about ego, just get out of it. Don't spend your time too much into it. Argument is a very big form of Prajalpa. Very big form. The other is talking about other people without reason. अरे प्रभु जी, उनका आपको पता क्या हुआ, उनका पता क्या हुआ. जैसे जैसे आपकी कम्युनिटी बढ़ेगी ना, you will get to know about other devotees. किसी की लाइफ में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो गया, so it's okay to be aware, but it's actually, you don't have to become news reporter in Krishna consciousness. Keep talking about people. उससे बात कर रहे हैं, ऐसे बात कर रहे हैं. Lowest intelligence is talking about people. So these are some of the ways in which Prajalpa happens. And when Prajalpa happens, the loss is that it keeps our mind always disturbed. When we say things which are unnecessary, our mind will never be fixed on Krishna. Never. Okay. So reducing our talk unnecessary. Okay. So that's Prajalpa. Okay. So with this, we cover the Prajalpa. And then Prabhupada goes to Janasangha. He skips Niyamagra. Because Niyamagra gets discussed in the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Anuvritti. So we'll come to that. But Janasangha refers to the associating with people, worldly minded people. Just a second. Actually, if a devotee is associating with devotees and not criticizing them, then he will be freed from this problem of Janasangha. That's a simple formula. And what Janasangha does is, we become convinced with their way of thinking, their way of living very easily. Okay. Sangha sanjayate kama. Sangha means attachment. Sangha also means association. As per our association, we'll keep getting the desire. And that desire is going to be a problem for us. So Prabhupada is talking about this, that Bhakta Sanevas. So when we are in association of Krishna conscious devotees, naturally, we will give up the unnecessary association, Janasangha. Okay. And Janasangha technically means
Okay. 9. My younger one. Okay. So therefore, Prabhupada is mentioning is that no association is very much needed. And Prabhupada says, if you are not associating with people of similar line of business, you will not advance. Prabhupada is making that point and giving the example of business world, like institutions like stock exchange and chamber of commerce. Prabhupada is giving those examples. So association is a must, is a must to advance. And in fact, when we say we are going back to Godhead, what is happening in Godhead? What is happening in spiritual world? People are serving in association. So association is the end state. So we can never. We have to become comfortable in association of devotees. We have to become comfortable. There's no problem in getting addicted to the association of devotees. We should get addicted and comfortable in association of devotees. Only then we can forget the association of non-devotees. Not associating doesn't mean one is not talking to them. As Brahastas, we'll have to talk to so many people, our bosses, our colleagues, our clients, our friends, our relatives. Many of them may not be, actually they'll be qualified in Janasangha. But is that Janasangha? No. If we are doing that relationship for two reasons. Okay. The first reason is for preaching. If you're talking to preach, then that's not Janasangha. Secondly, there are definitely places where we can't preach. Okay. Where we can't elevate people in devotional life. Where we are doing things as a matter of formality, then it is not Janasangha. As a matter of formality. आपने बोला hello, हमने बोला hello. Okay. We maintain relationships because they're supposed to be maintained. But it remains at a formal level, not at an intimate level. Not that we are sharing our hearts, we are taking guidance, we are doing this and we are doing that, all those things. No. Okay.
Prabhuji, why preaching is not Janasangha, Prabhuji?
Preaching is not Janasangha. Preaching, Janasangha is a problem. You are giving your association. You are not taking the association. Therefore, it is not Janasangha. But let's say while preaching, you say there is no happiness in this material life of drinking and smoking. And the other person says with double conviction, no, there is a lot of pleasure in this. And you also become, oh, maybe he's right, looks like he's very confident. And that means we have taken his association, not given our association. So preaching is not Janasangha because we are giving our association. Makes sense?
What about attending family functions and other events? Huh?
That's formality.
Formality.
That's a social norm you have to follow. Yeah. As long as you are in Grahastha life, you have to follow the social norms. Not only that, even renunciates have to follow social norms at their level. So social etiquette we can't forget. Not that I have become a devotee, now I'll not go to this function. I'll just renounce my relatives. That will not work. It will not sustain. Yes.
But there are some family members who are like very opulent and their functions are very full of glitter and glamour, and you do not associate with those kind of functions. What do? You avoid, or you go and you are like not be part of it and you have to be there?
No, when you are talking of relatives and you have been, let's say, you have been associated with them for quite some time, and suddenly you put a switch off, that will not work. So you have to go and you have to come back. Keep taking association of devotees. Don't fear so much by such events, which will come one-off events, Okay. On a daily basis, you're chanting on a daily basis, you're hearing. So, like, no, definitely you'll have to, but you can't project yourself as an outcast or like, no, something like, no. You just go and you understand how you have to operate there. Talking formally. Talking formally doesn't mean that, no, it is just ऊपर काम आप कर सकते हो, उसमें कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, कर सकते हैं. It is about practice, it's about practice. So sometimes we may be affected and we will like, no, do this or like, no, initially. Later on we'll become okay with that.
Immune to it.
Sorry?
Immune to it.
Immune to it, yeah. Vaccine में कभी-कभी fever आ जाता है.
So, Prabhuji, one more question I have about prayas or over endurance.
Yeah. We will.
Later? Okay.
Yeah, we'll just take later because I want to just finish. So, Jana Sangha stops here. Okay. That we have to associate with devotees. Okay. Obviously, if you are associate with them to serve them. Okay. Bhakta Sangha means serving devotees, not, oh, I have to just associate with you so that I'm protected from Maya. No, we serve them. That's real association. That's real association. Okay. And definitely not criticizing them. Then we'll be very protected here. And then Prabhupada is, so we'll come to Niyamagraha. So this, I think we have very much covered the other things. Niyamagraha, okay, let's read this. Okay. Accepting some of the scriptural rules and regulations for immediate benefits, as utilitarians advocate, is called Niyamagraha. And neglecting the rules and regulations of Shastras, which are meant for spiritual development, is called Niyamagraha. Some people, they start saying, no, karmane vadhikaraste ma phadeshu kadaj, as if, no, they are like following all the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So, quoting the things from scriptures to comfort our prejudices is Niyamagraha, Niyamagraha. That's a very high level understanding of Niyamagraha. That we are just taking those aspects of scriptures which suits our conditionings. See, scripture is also saying this, Prabhupada is also mentioning this, but we have to accept and wholesome. Please remember balance. We all have to balance. Sometimes we may get instructions or see things, rules, regulations, which are favoring on working for family. So we may overdo it, thinking, hey, see, because I'm interested in doing that alone. Okay. Sometimes we may find instructions related to just chanting and renouncing family. And let's say I'm troubled from my family. I'll take that. Hey, see, it is saying troubled family. Family is a problem. The Geham and the Kupam. So I'll go now. So taking instructions for suiting our conditionings is a problem. And similarly, neglecting the instructions in scriptures because it is troublesome. Okay, because it is troublesome to follow. So both this is called Niyamagraha. Okay. Following things, so that is one level of Niyamagraha, as I told. Taking the instructions based on my comfort level, rejecting the instructions which are troublesome to me. Okay, which are troublesome to me. You should do your duty as a husband well, and there are certain instructions. Oh, troublesome. I'll not do it. You should do your duty as a devotee and follow the Satyagun routine. But scriptures say that you should maintain your family and work for them, because of which I am not able to do it. Inherently in our heart, that feeling is there. Oh, it is troublesome for me. Therefore, I'll find excuse from scriptures. In our heart, there may be something I want to do certain thing, and I'll find a scriptural injunction which suits that purpose. You getting the point? The solution is what? The solution is free from these biases. We should not be too attached to our opinions in Krishna consciousness. That's the biggest thing we have to get detached from. Freeing ourselves from our opinions, our mindless opinions. Okay. we should be attached to the opinions of the scriptures, Sadhu Guru Shastri. That is what we need to cultivate our attachment to. Okay. That's one level of Niyamagraha. The other level of Niyamagraha is when we are following the rules and regulations, okay, of devotional service very nicely, but we forget the purpose of why I'm doing it. Okay, I forget the purpose of why I'm doing it. Therefore, I may tend to offend some devotees, or I may tend to, like, no, like why I'm doing certain things, in devotional life, is like, let's say I'm chanting, I'm reading, I'm hearing, but I get so locked in my rules of devotional life that I stop looking at the big picture of a devotee's life. I become indifferent to my people around me. I become, indifferent to devotees around me. You getting my point, right? Okay. Sometimes getting too so absorbed in those rules and regulations. And the opposite is, I just become loose about everything. I just use my position as a devotee and then start becoming loose. And I become eventually so loose that I'm lost. Okay. So both these things have to be avoided. That's Niyamagraha. So those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulation for economic advancement. Yet they should very faithfully accept scriptural rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. So whatever, once I asked Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, he told after Grihastha analysis, somehow when I got married, I got this mad idea, oh, I'm only getting married for preaching, no kids, nothing. So I was preaching like 5 days a week, 4 days a week. And so met Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, and then he told that it is duty of grihasthas to beget children. Okay. Then I realized that, okay, I've heard that no, you should follow the instructions of pure devotees. That is pleasing to Krishna. And then I told him, okay, Maharaj, if you say for your pleasure, I will do it. And then I told, no, understand why it is good for you. Why it is good for you. So we should try to understand with intelligence, when we are following certain rules and regulations of scriptures, why it is good for me. Then we'll be able to balance exceptional circumstances. Then these questions will not come. What to do in this, what to do in that, I'm meeting this person, I'm having this family. All these problems will get sorted if we have that proper understanding of why scriptures talk about certain rules and regulations. What is the reason behind it? Why it is good for me? Then we'll be able to understand which niyam is over and above the which niyam. Because in certain situations, this may so happen that follow this rule or this rule. I'm going to my relative's house in a function. I should, what to do? Okay, which rule becomes higher, So all those finer things will become clear when we understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, that is Niyamagraha. It is Niyamagraha. And we'll very quickly wrap up. And that's what Prabhupada is mentioning and Bhaktisinoda Thakur is mentioning. And then we'll cover Laulyam. And Laulyam is greed, basically. Okay, just having a lot of greed. It is somewhat similar to Atyahar, actually. Okay, so it also means, Prabhupada is mentioning, desires to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahman, or attaining physical material prosperity are all included within the category of greed, Laulyam. So not just material possessions, but even becoming very greedy for certain spiritual objects of, how to say, certain things that we exploit others, okay, for getting certain spiritual things also. That's not right. That's not right. So Laulyam means excessive greed. So obviously, if we take control of our Atyahara and Prayasa, Laulyam gets covered. Okay. But becoming greedy for certain achievements in spiritual life, greedy for certain positions in spiritual life also. So those kind of things will come when we come in spiritual life. Those things may come from an organizational standpoint. Oh, I want this position, I want that position, I want this position, all those things will come. So that's all Laulyam. Okay, so Prabhupada is giving so-called spiritual advancement. Okay, such material benefits or so-called spiritual advancement. That's all lollyam. Running after position, like you can become spiritual master, becoming greedy for that position. So all this is part of lollyam. All this is part of lollyam. So we can be greedy for association of devotees. How can we overcome greed, mundane greed? When we become greedy for material devotee association, when we become greedy for hearing more from scriptures, when we become greedy for the taste in the holy name. Rupa Goswami says that greed, if you get it in some place, just buy it immediately. That greed should be bought immediately. Immediately buy that greed, because that greed is going to help us go back to Godhead. So greed is very important, but that greed has to be for all this. Greed for spiritual advancement, greed for getting more taste, greed for serving devotees. That is a greed which is very, very important. When we cultivate these kinds of spiritual greeds, automatically the mundane lollyam will come down. Automatically it will come down. Okay. Because wherever there is Krishna, there is no Maya. And in this way, Prabhupada concludes by saying this Krishna consciousness movement offers a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in the world. Every intelligent man should purify his consciousness and rid himself of above mentioned 6 hindrances to devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna consciousness movement. Like all of you have done, you're doing Bhakti Shastri. That is called taking shelter of Krishna consciousness movement. Okay, any questions now? I think we are done this second. 8:41, not bad. I think we lost almost 30 minutes in the process of shifting lights and all those things. And I have just gone past 10 minutes, which means I have 20 minutes for questions and answers. Okay, we can go for question and answers now.
Uji, one question on Niyamagraha.
Lollyam to ask questions is also good lollyam. Yeah.
So this Niyamagraha, right? I mean, so in this, so neglecting the reason behind, or okay, basically following in a regular process. Though we are following the Bhakti process, maybe following in a following it just for the name's sake,
ritualistic way.
Ritualistic way, right? So actually, I have some doubt on this with I mean the way I am practicing, maybe the 16 rounds of completing, right? Sometimes this mind goes, I mean, though we try to constantly see Krishna photo, or I mean listen what we are chanting, right? It just goes away, thinks about something else. Okay, in that round maybe I might be thinking something of my office work or something, and I try to regulate it, but I mean how to, I mean, I find that it is like a Niyamagraha, right? We might be running all the 16 rounds, might be, but maybe the percentage of the fruitful thinking or towards the God might be not 100%, or might not be even 50%. But how?
The fact that you are asking this question, it is no longer Niyamagraha.
Okay.
Okay. The fact that you are asking this question, it means it is no longer, because you are thinking of how to become better in chanting. Okay. So only thing is, when for a prolonged period of time we are just chanting for the heck of chanting, then it becomes a Niyamagraha. Okay. So what we can do for grahasthas, it's very important to go for yatras once a year. Okay. For exclusive spiritual retreats. Okay. Because what happens is, on a day, that's one of the way. I mean, there are multiple things. That's the first way. That grahastha should participate in spiritual retreats at least once a year. At least, that's the least. More than that, better it is. There should be some days, if we are having a lot of trouble in our chanting, there should be some days on a periodic basis where we are exclusively chanting with some devotees or things like that. Okay. Maybe a 32 rounds club can be there, where you're just focusing on chanting, so that it keeps coming back, Third is trying to chant more rounds during the morning time. And I know, I'm not able to do it, so I can't tell you that all rounds in morning. It does happen that, with family and kids, that your rounds will be postponed in evening, but as less as possible, more of rounds in morning, because evening and late night rounds, we know what it is. I don't have to elaborate on that. All of us have that experience. So bulk of the rounds in morning. And regular reading and hearing is very important. Regular reading and hearing is important. So if you're regularly reading scriptures, then consciousness is upright and we are focused on spiritual goal, then we'll endeavor to chant well. Okay. So that's another point. Okay. So these few points. First is regular spiritual retreats for Grihasthas. Second, coming in association of devotees and chanting, and also finding opportunities where one is exclusively focusing on chanting on certain days, periodically. And then what did I tell? Chanting bulk of the rounds in morning. And then fourth is reading regularly so that one's consciousness is straightened. Make sense?
Yeah, Prabhuji, one more thing. Actually, is it okay to think about, some of the, like if we visit dhams or something, right? So some ways I try is think about, some of the seva of the God when chanting this. Is that okay? Or is it just okay to focus on what we read, right? Just keep the mind blank, nothing to be thought. Keeping the mind blank and just listen what we are chanting. So out of these two, what is the best?
So Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, once I asked him, so he gave a response that definitely we should focus on the sound vibration of chanting, and we should engage the mind in chanting also, the holy names. But sometimes mind wanders, so we can remember the deity form of the Lord, the dham of the Lord, or as you're mentioning, some pastime of the Lord, to bring the mind back on the holy name. Because we remember that, and then we don't just get lost in that. We use that to
come back.
Okay,
thanks, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Any other question? I know there were many questions.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Surabhi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one time I heard a lecture from Radhesham Prabhuji, which was based on this text. And he had given that lecture in Amrendra Prabhuji's houses, Atlanta. So he said that all these hindrances actually start with Janasangha. We associate with worldly people, and then it leads to Laulyam and Atyagraha and Prayas. Right? So is that the basis?
Yes, Mataji, in one sense, definitely that's how it is, In fact, everything depends on association. We started with that, right? The human form of life and marginal energy. If you are associating with the material energy, you are under control of material energy. And that's how we started. Okay, that's how this whole thing starts. So when we are in control of internal potency, then everything is fine. That is also association with Radharani and Radharani servants. And this is association of material energy and material energy servants. So either way we take. Yeah.
So one more thing, Prabhuji, you said the first text and the second text are related because if we control the mind, body, and our speech, then these hindrances will not lead to these hindrances, right? Is this the connection?
Lack of the control of body, mind, and words will happen because of these 6 things. Things will go outside your control because of these 6 problems. So better address these 6 problems, then controlling becomes easier.
Okay. And one more thing.
As we told, no, Prajalpa, it doesn't allow our mind to fix. So Manavegam will increase. When Janasangha is there, then Krodha Vegam will increase, Manavegam will increase, Vacho Vegam will increase. Prajalpa means Vacho Vegam will increase. You're getting my point, right?
I understood. So basically, these 6 hindrances have to be controlled or regulated to control the.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And one more thing.
That control is not just controlling of body, mind, and words, but that control is nothing but engagement of body, mind, and words in devotional service while avoiding uh, while controlling it, it is also engagement. Okay, so this process is sadhana bhakti. Now, in order to do that effectively, these 6 hindrances have to be avoided.
Understood, Prabhuji.
Yeah, another question you were asking.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's on prayas. I understand for us, over endurance or to accumulate too much is not good, right? And we can regulate somehow. But what about kids? I mean, they are students. They have to do a lot of prayers, especially now is the time of startups and entrepreneurship where it requires to work for 20 hours, and they. So is that okay to encourage kids to go into that way, or we should we tell them that this is over endurance, you should not do all this?
Oh no, they will never understand that. You have to see, point of parenting is what? Point of parenting is, the beauty of parenting is you elevate the thought process of your kids, not hand over a decision to them. You getting my point? If you, let's say they are at a level A and you give them an instruction of level B, they'll not be interested to hear you. Secondly, they are getting some other inputs from places where they are going, and you are giving a completely contrary input. It's going to be difficult for them. Okay. So point is that for kids, I don't know what's the age of your kids, but what basically helps is, telling them a lot of stories, value-based stories. Stories does wonder, So telling them stories of what happens when person becomes greedy, what are the problems, what are the virtues of forgiveness and all those things.
That I give him a lot of stories from Mahabharata characters, like what you about Duryodhan and Yudhishthira. Keep giving him comparisons. 12 years old, Prabhuji, but yes, he's also
12 years
influenced by
old.
this.
Yeah, 12 years old means they are moving into the teenage spirit. So we should the passionate age, they want to achieve things and all. So maybe so that is definitely going to be there. We can try to see of some some spiritual inputs should go. Now they will not receive it from you. They'll receive it from someone else. Boys especially after 13, 14, they don't want to hear. I mean, biological relationship becomes a problem sometimes for them, in receiving things.
Okay.
So connecting them to certain cultivate the positive, focus on cultivating positive rather than negating the negative for them, unless they're getting into some sinful areas. See, point is, if you're cutting the passion of someone, but you are not just cutting it, but not supplementing it with spiritual growth, then person goes to ignorance. They'll become inactive. That inactiveness is also a problem. So you have to ensure they're active, but they're controlled active. So there's the age of energy. They'll have a lot of energy. They'll have a lot of this thing, but ensure that they get some spiritual inputs through some camps or something like that, and keep giving them wisdom, become their friends. That, okay, know what happens when you go little over on this side, and don't discourage them in their passion. Now you heard that Ishavasya Madam Sarvam and this, and let's say he is hell-bent on creating a coding startup or some app or something like that. It's okay, but give them wisdom that, okay, what are the pitfalls, how do you do certain things, connect with them and give them the right wisdom. That's important. Okay, but at their age they will, that's the age of it. We also did that, right? Make sense?
Okay, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Bulk of the times what happens is devotees especially and their teenager kids, there's a disconnection which happens, because they start moving in a different level, and unfortunately expecting from them also, because I am getting elevated, you also become with me, and then that is where that disconnect starts, and it becomes a huge distance. Therefore, balance, it's all about balance. The whole story is about balance for Grahasthas, nothing else. you can't do this also, you can't do that also. To guide them, you have to be properly connected in Krishna consciousness, because this is a fact, that this is a fact. But how to, what doses you have to give this fact and in which way, that is very customized for a parent to a kid. Very, very customized.
Okay.
Okay. Hope it has not confused you further. Yeah. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, collecting more than necessary. We mentioned in the prayasa and also atyahara.
Atyahara.
Yeah,
Prayasa
atyahara.
is working to collect more than necessary.
Yes.
Therefore, it becomes prayas.
Yes, Prabhu. But how to define the necessary, Prabhu? Because I always compare with others, and this world. And whatever I save today, it's nothing after 5 years. So how to decide that necessary? Sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. How to decide what is necessary. So the point is, if you start comparing, definitely you don't have anything what is necessary. Comparison is a very bad benchmark to decide what is necessary. Of course, when we get into rat race competition in this world, somewhere we have to call it, anyways, if you don't take Krishna consciousness also, still you'll always have somebody who will defeat you in this competition. Okay. And even if you win, you remain a rat, right? As they say. So we don't want to compete in this rat race. And it takes time for us to become convinced about this fact that the value system for which I am striving is a much better value system. The fulfillment which comes in leading a balanced devotional life is much, much more than leading a very one-sided, successful materialistic life. But one-sided. The satisfaction is much more in leading a balance, because whether you believe it or not, mode of goodness gives a better quality of happiness than mode of passion and ignorance. That is true. That's a fact. But we have to be in goodness to experience that. A person in mode of passion thinks that this guy in goodness is really slow. But goodness person understands, no, I'm not being slow. When you will have tough time, I'll have good time. So, that's how it is. So how much is necessary is the one benchmark is, okay, if the time you are spending on making money, you have got your house, you have got a car, you got some comfort level, you're making savings, you're earning well, and then it is fine. I mean, don't go overboard. I'll do this, because this person has that much, so I'll have this much, and I'll take one more thing and all those things. So when we tend to increase our lifestyle unnecessarily, then it becomes a problem, okay? And especially out of comparative mentality. So what is necessary is ultimately having good food, having, peaceful sleep, and having fresh water, access to healthy food, and having fresh water, if you really ask me, and having peaceful shelter, not that, you are staying somewhere, it is a problem, and having a comfortable life that you are, but once those basic comfort is achieved, if you go for, there is no end to it, then there is no end to it. You'll always find one other thing to be obtained every hour in the house, every hour. So when we have that basic comfort which is needed to practice spiritual life, that is what we mean that necessities are met. So if after that, if Krishna is giving us money, is fine, but not that we go mad, so much so that we don't have time for spiritual life. That means we are going in the zone of wants and not necessities.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's more related to this one, Prabhu. When we are talking about kleshas, Prabhu, Adidayuka klesha, all these three kleshas are also under control of Maya, Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay.
They are Durga's Trishul, you see, no? Trishul, teen. वो तीन यही है, दुर्गा देवी का गिफ्ट है हमारे को.
Okay. So even
She's,
demigods are also under control of Durga Devi.
oh yes,
Okay.
material nature, no? Durga Devi is what? Wife of Lord Shiva.
Yeah.
She is Durga. She is in charge for the whole material world. She is Shakti Tattva for this world.
Okay.
Demigods are Jiva Tattva. You know, these are 5 tattvas are there. Vishnu Tattva, Shambhu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Guru Tattva. Okay, all
I
these
didn't
are
know, Prabhu.
tattvas actually. So Shakti Tattva is more than Jiva Tattva.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
That's why demigods get bewildered, no? Mode of sometimes passion comes. You know, you hear those stories, right?
Yeah.
Only Lord Shiva is above it. Only Lord Shiva. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other question? Okay. Okay. So thank you all very much, and I'm very sorry. It is 9. It is not as bad. Half an hour is bona fide quota which I had, and I have used it. So please don't curse me. I have not taken your quota. Okay, so I've just taken whatever. So Friday we'll meet and we'll wrap up. You know, on the verse 3, and in this way, our like no, in the first part of I will be getting over. Okay. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
Vancha.
Thank you. Patita Nam Pavane Vaishnav.
Vaishnav.
Koti Vaishnav
Vaishnav ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.